Good morning, everybody. This has been a very nice introduction. Our first presentation of Aapresid, everything is connected. This is a challenging year for rotation and margin. Soybean becomes the hero, becomes the main character in the limelight. We have the presenter from Donmario and also Patricio Munilla, Diego Renicoli and Patricio Munilla, both from Donmario. You can send all your questions after the presentations. We will analyze opportunities and challenges of the R&D program of the leading company in South America, in Argentina and in South America, of soybean. I don't want to put any pressure on you, but a member in this, or a participant in this presentation is Rodolfo Rossi. He's the father of soybean, so please take that into account. So we will be glad to answer questions after Diego and Pato's presentations. Diego, you have the floor. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Diego, for your presentation. In the first place, I want to thank you for participating. I'm really proud of being here in this great Congress. Jerónimo Costanzi was also supposed to be here. He's member of the development program. We want to share with you what is the current situation and future challenges that will be faced in the soybean crop in different regions, not only in Argentina, but also globally. What are the challenges ahead of us? One of the main challenges has to do with supplying food to the world population, which is continuously growing, estimated in more than 9 million people by 2050. And the food demand will be about 60% higher. The farming sector, as food producer, has to support this growth, and challenges are part of this. Genetics company has to support that growth. A breeding company has to support this growth. One of the factors to take into account is that we need to have sustainable production systems to make a more efficient use of the land, of water, and other inputs. Production can grow not only increasing surface area, but there are limitations to that. In some situations, we see that surface area has grown, but this has more to do with increasing productivity in a sustainable manner. And there's no doubt that this is associated to new technologies and to applied knowledge, applied to crops. At the production level, this can be seen in different territories in Argentina, Brazil, and U.S. This is where Donmario is presented their breeding development. We can see the production in Argentina, Brazil, and U.S. In Argentina, there's a sort of plateau. Although there has been a growth, this is an FAO analysis for the past 20 years. We see that there has been growth in the three territories, although in Argentina, we can see that there is a plateau. In U.S., there has been an exponential growth. But this exponential growth is clearer in Brazil, 53 million tons in the past growing year. So they become number one regarding soybean crop. The production has to do with harvested area and yield. Harvested areas in Argentina, regardless of the situations that we have faced in the past year, the 17 million hectares in the past years, there has been a sort of stagnation, so probably we won't have a significant increase. Probably we will have more soybean because we will have less corn, but the surface area for soybean has been established. The same happens in U.S. Although there is a growth in surface area in the past years, the slope is milder. The country that is making the differences and is increasing surface area year after year is Brazil, that has more than 800 or 1 million hectares every year, more hectares. And this has to do with the transition from livestock to agriculture. In Argentina, the yield is variable, or has been variables with peaks and droughts or downs in the past year. We are about 20 kilograms per hectare per year in soybean, but if we compare this with Brazil and U.S., we are far below. Brazil and U.S. has a gain of 46 kilos per year per hectare. Although the climate is what finally defines these ups and downs and changes in production. So these points are not scattered from the straight lines. What happens in Argentina and why productivity happens, because this has to do with maturity, different groups of maturity, group 6 to group 4, with shorter cycles, the breeding activities and companies that are dealing with germplasm, the agronomical management of the crop, no-till has been one of the main factors, and technologies applied to crop. When we talk about Brazil, we have seen changes in maturity groups and earlier groups, maturity groups, especially in Mato Grosso, where the groups have a longer cycle. Group 8, for example, and most of the yield comes from that region. Also, applied technologies in Brazil, as they have a pest complex and specific diseases because of the region, they have made a strong investment in plant protection and nutrition. In U.S., also breeding has also been important, irrigation, nutrition. The investment in dollars per hectare is high compared to other territories, because American grower is more mechanized, and they have rain-fed situations, and they have flooding, and so they have systems for drainage, and so they keep productivity and yield throughout the years. In the 3 territories, breeding and applied technology is something common in all 3 territories. We can talk about technological milestones in soybean. This was our R1 in the 3 territories, which started in 1996 in Argentina, hand in hand with no-till. And this had the advantage because we avoid soil removal. In 2000, soil turnover in regarding Lepidopterus protection with BT technology, This was a landmark, a milestone that increased productivity in some territories. In the central and northern part of our country, yield increased because they are attacked by foliar pest. With the BT technology, they were able to do this breeding, and so they used that technology, and yield increased significantly. Technologies associated to the past few years are the herbicide events, especially it's supporting this problem that we see worldwide of the increase of resistant weeds and in expansion in the surface area. Today we have technologies and list and others that are attacking those weeds, and so we are contributing in this way to a gain, a significant gain. When we talk about margins to increase productivity, we need to talk about productive divide or productive gap. This in GM, the concept of gap is the difference between two yields. There is a potential yield that can be defined by nutrients, by water, by adverse events, and pests or weeds. Whatever attacks that limitation and reduces this gap will be contributing to higher productivity. And this would be achieved optimizing the agronomical management of crops in the different regions. Dividing this by territory, the analysis of gap, this information shows us that there is a rain-fed and irrigation potential. And also we have the maximum values and the mean values for each territory. In Argentina, the maximum and mean values are below the we are further down in the graph. In this other graph, in this other chart, we see real numbers. If we compare the gap today between the maximum and mean yields in Argentina compared to the other territories which have 25%, in Argentina we have a gap of 34%. So here we can justify the use of specific management technologies in the crop in order to reduce productive gaps, because the ups and downs that we were seeing today regarding productivity can be tuned down, and in blight or in irrigation or in whatever soybean technology we talk about. When we talk about soybean technology, we talk about genotypes and varieties. That genetic gain we want to look for in germplasms, we can say that we have gaps due to genetics. These gaps are 11, 12% in almost all three territories. What we do is we separate the varieties that were assessed, evaluated in GDM, and that 25% in the 25th percentile and the 50th percentile, we see what is the difference. We have to identify which is the variety and the maturity needed in each group. These elite varieties come together with a research program that has been growing year after year, first in Argentina. Now, 40 years after, we can talk about growth that has been expanded to different sectors globally in many continents, and this allows us to have a broad genetic base for germplasms. We are able to generate a flow of that germplasm so we can do crossings between the different varieties, making use of the qualities of each product. Those crossings are able to generate variability. The research group conducts a selection. An important thing in research has to do with a more technified world, with the use of IT tools, IA. This enables us to manage larger flows of information and allows us to make more accurate decisions and allows us to analyze the new varieties or the new technologies. In the past, this took 12 years, then 6 years. Today, we can select an elite variety in a very short time. When we talk about traits and technologies in the different territories in Argentina, we have Enlist and Congesta and RR1 technology are the ones that we are offering in the market. If we compare this to Brazil and US, we are clearly below the offering of technology. We have Intacta 2, Extenflex, or even Intacta 2 are the starter ones and allows us to attack different problems with pests or weeds. And in Argentina, we are losing that probably. I wanted to focus on everything that has to do with IP. When you invest for genetic gain, and you generally make more investments in countries where we have more recognition and where there is a virtuous cycle.
We
want to invest and get our return on our investment. This is just for you to see in green. I hope you can see it, where soybean is planted in the different territories. You can see the development and research programs in all areas. We divide territories into micro-regions, and we go and test the best products and genotypes as to select the best genotype for every micro-region in every territory. And in turn, want to really get familiar with the different areas and the environment. We want to have a better environment-based agronomic management. And to conclude, before giving the floor to Patricio, here I'm showing that the launching for 2024, we can see Enlist and Congesta. We have a full portfolio from the south of the province of Buenos Aires all the way up to the north of Argentina. We have Enlist varieties that adjust to different climates. And we are also present in everything related to RR. All these varieties are under the program Sembra Evolución, and Patricio is going to talk about the other programs now.
Gracias a los dos.
Thank you, both Diegos. I'd like to thank all of you for being here with us. I'm honored to be able to make this presentation. I'm not so used to making presentations, and I may be a little nervous, but I'm very happy to be here and share with you what we're doing at Donmario so that we have all these varieties. In Argentina, over 60 or 70% of surface area is planted with our genetics, and it's good to share with you all the underlying work. In order to go back to what Diego was saying today, we're trying to see what the main challenges are in Argentina in terms of soybean crop. In our control area, there are two major challenges. On the one hand, we have to match the genetic gain rates that we see in other countries. And what do I mean by this? There are two different issues here. On the one hand, we have to match that potential genetic gain that, as Diego showed, is being lost today. And on the other hand, I'm talking about reducing that gap we see in our potential yield as compared to other territories. Secondly, Diego also mentioned this, we want to start gaining competitiveness in terms of biotechnologies. In Argentina, there are different companies focusing on biotechnological solutions. Those companies are not investing in Argentina. And today we have an opportunity to change the situation and bring investments not only in terms of biotechnology, but also genetic breeding. In order to get into figures and show you how Argentina is doing today, I prepared this graph about the intellectual property field. The green line is hectares planted in Argentina, and the blue line is the average over the past year, 17.3. If we double-click on intellectual property acknowledgement, and by intellectual property acknowledgement, I mean through the purchase of controlled seeds or payment of extended realities or the purchase of technological hectares, we have a system that was launched in 2022. If we analyze the percentages, around 35% of the surface area acknowledges intellectual property over the last 6 years. Now, if we try to see the trend, we see that 35% is made up 40% 6 years ago and 32% over the last 2 years. So there is a dropping trend here. This should be a trigger for all of us because these trends lead to decreased investment in genetics and biotechnology. And that competitive gap we see with Brazil, the US, and even Uruguay are becoming more significant, and in the longer term, this may lead to reduced productivity in our country. Now, if we get into Sembrado Evolución, which is the seed marketing program we have in Argentina since 2022, the first varieties were launched in 2021, and the system was finalized in 2022. This is why we had the first varieties in 2021 that were marketed through our system. And we see that it is growing year after year. This is good news we have to share about the Argentinian market. Out of that 35%, which is about 5.5 million hectares, over 2 million are made up of varieties that are part of Sembrado Evolución. 3.5 million hectares and 1.1 million are varieties from 2023 onwards, which is the other factor. Only 2 out of 17 million are planted with varieties launched after 2022. That means that the Argentinian farmer is not yet fully adopting the new genetics, the new biotechnologies, and this has an impact on the country's yield. So here there is an opportunity to leverage the genetic potential offered by Donmario and other seed companies. And there is also an opportunity to start using biotechnology, which is also necessary to reduce that gap we are seeing in our field tests and our products. Now, if we take a look at the comparison with other countries, I like this graph because it shows the real situation in Argentina. If we compare our country to Brazil and US, people usually say we plant a lot in Argentina and it's difficult to increase that IP acknowledgement. But if we compare our country to other countries that plant more soybean than Argentina, we see quite significant differences over the last few years. Globally, roughly in Argentina, we said that the surface area is 17.3 million hectares. This is soybean. Now in Brazil, in the U.S., the surface area is 43 and 37 million, respectively. Now, in terms of average yield, here we do see quite a major gap. Many of you may say, well, but this is not only breeding. There are also tax issues. Usually farmers try to find a more defensive strategy when it comes to increasing yield. And even though it's true, and we're familiar with the situation in the country, we can see that the genetic gap is becoming increasingly bigger. And if we take a 20-year long term, we see that we are losing potential as compared to these two countries. There is an interesting work carried out by Lucas Abdallah from GDM, who says, I want to see those 20 kilos as compared to those 46 kilos we see in Brazil. I want to take other effects, such as climate and nutrition effects. I want to understand the impact of genetic gain on this. This work also shows that in terms of those 20 kilos per hectare, Argentina's potential today is around 35 kilos per hectare if we go 20 years back. Even though we're still seeing 10 kilos per hectare, we still have a 15-kilo gap in order to improve. And going back to what I said at the beginning, today we have a dual challenge in Argentina. Not only do we have to reduce that potential of our varieties in Argentina, but we also have to take advantage of the current varieties we see in Argentina. Those are two major challenges we're facing as a country, and there is a lot more to be done. If we get into biotechnologies, well, this is already hard facts. No data may be changed by DM. If we compare a country to Brazil and the U.S., where there are 5 and 7 available technologies, we see that there is a huge difference as compared to Argentina, where there are only 3. And if we compare the pipeline shows future launchings of technologies. There are already launchings that will take place in 2030 in Brazil and the U.S. Now, in Argentina, those companies that deal with biotechnologies and biotechnological solutions, for the time being, they're not planning to launch any technologies in Argentina. In order to summarize, not only do we have a problem today, but we also have a problem looking forward in terms of the launching of new biotechnologies. So we do need to change the situation in Argentina so that we'll get more investments, not only in terms of genetic breeding, but also in terms of technological solutions for soybean. I've already talked about IP, 35% average over the past few years. In Brazil, this percentage is 78%, and in the U.S., it's 100%. And there is an asterisk there because 100% of soybean planted in the U.S. is done through controlled seeds. Even though we're very far from reaching this percentage, for these seeds to have a superior quality, the cluster of multipliers to start offering differential service, we all as an industry need to have more investments. The good news here, and I mentioned this when I showed the first graph, today the industry is aligned to change this situation. We face huge challenges, as I've already mentioned, But we also have a system which is starting to help those farmers who want to keep having new launchings, and we're starting to see a safe business environment for companies that wants to keep investing. And this framework is called Sembra Evolución, which is the autonomous seed marketing system. And we hope that every crop system in the future will join this program so that you will all have the theoretical and safe business framework to plan investments in the middle and long term. For you to see some figures, today Sembra Evolución has over 15 brands. And if we get into figures in more detail, well, today we're working with soybean and wheat, but we're open to including new crops. Over 110 varieties were launched within the Sembra Evolución system with both soybean and wheat. So as we saw in soybean, only 2 out of the 17 million hectares are planted with these varieties. So there's a lot of room for improvement in terms of adopting the new genetic and biotechnological trends. As I showed initially, the sector is growing significantly. In the 2023-2024 hectares, over 2 million hectares were planted with these varieties, and we hope to reach 4 million hectares. This goes hand in hand with genetic and biotechnology, and this is providing very good results in the field. In terms of farmers, there are 14,000 farmers who have joined this program and are planting these varieties. We estimate that there are around 51,000 farmers enrolled in Argentina, out of which 17,000 are active users of the soybean seeds. That is almost 80%, 90% of farmers using and planting soybean varieties are part of the Sembra Evolución program. And our big challenge today is for these farmers to increase their surface areas using these varieties. We estimate there are around 1,012 or 1,200 companies selling this. So my takeaway message here is that even though we still have a long way to go, we have a large number of farmers working with us. The most important thing is that farmers should not see Sembra Evolución as an enemy or as an additional bureaucratic step to go through, but quite the contrary. We want them to see Sembra Evolución as an ally so that companies will want to keep investing in Argentina, so that we will have new technologies, new and better varieties that will overcome what we have today and start reducing the gap and the competitive advantage we're seeing when we compare our country to countries such as the U.S., Brazil, and even Uruguay with 1,200,000 soybean hectares. In order to conclude and to go to the Q&A session, based on what Diego said, I'd like to say that today, globally, the big challenge is to supply the growing food demand that we will see over the next 30 years, and we're convinced that genetic breeding and biotechnology are the way to go to meet that demand that is growing year after year. In order to increase our productivity, the virtuous circle that Diego mentioned in terms of IP is key for this to happen. And finally, this is a quote that represents the whole Donmario team. Genetic breeding is necessary to increase crop productivity, with the use of modern breeding and the incorporation of new technologies in every production system is key to increase yield. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Diego and Patricio. Thank you very much. We have only a few minutes for questions. The first question is, what is encouraging DM to keep investing in Argentina? Can we please activate the mics? Can you hear me? Yes. I think this question is for me. This is why I got the mic. Donmario is an Argentinian brand. It was created in Argentina and expanded to Brazil, the US, Europe, Africa, and now it's starting to get into Oceania. I'm talking about FM rather than the Donmario brand. We're proud of the fact that it's Argentinian company. This is why we keep betting on Argentina. When things become more difficult, we step on the accelerator because we should all be proud of what we're doing here. And I can personally say that I'm proud of GDM's willingness to keep betting on Argentina, because this is where the Bartolome family was born. However, in terms of the Donmario brand, I believe that Sembra Evolución is showing a way for us. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel. We have a great opportunity to reverse the situation we described together with Diego. The figures are quite encouraging. Varieties are responding as expected. So I think that's the message. It's kind of some melancholy together with hope. This is what encourages us to keep working in Argentina, because we see that there will be green light at the end of the tunnel for all of us to have a growing soybean country. Can we quantify the difference? Can we compare a group that's using a V12 variety and a group that's using the latest varieties? Yes. A variety such as 4612, for those of you who are not familiar with this name, the last numbers are the last two numbers show the year when that variety was launched. This variety is already 14 years old. A farmer using that variety today, if they have not incorporated the new varieties, because those varieties have been replaced by 4618, and there is a new variety which is 47E23. That farmer is not taking the full advantage that they may take with the latest and newest varieties. We have new replacements so that genetic gain that we get from the new varieties can be taken advantage of by farmers. However, when you analyze the most popular varieties in Argentina, we're surprised when we see that there are some older varieties that are still being used quite widely by farmers. I have two more questions. If the audience has more questions, you can approach the speakers through the halls. I'm going to spoil the situation. I'm going to be a spoiler. We have genetic breeding, we have biotechnology, but what can we do to keep moving forward? Well, what we are doing with all the information that we have in the development area that is related to being more familiar with the different climates, sectors, and plots in Argentina, with all the information I showed on the map. We're developing a recommendation program. We will be launching this in September. What is a recommendation program? Farmers will be able to select their plot, and based on the different parameters that you can set on the platform, whether it's phosphorus, organic matter, clay, if you are in the province of Entre Rios, for example, estimated rainfall. There are different parameters. So based on that, farmers will get an accurate recommendation so that they can compare the best alternatives for that specific plot. That platform has a lot of information today. It uses public information for all models, especially climate models and yield models. And we're very happy to have that platform and to launch this platform in September. And who will be able to participate there? Sembra Evolución members. Well, the platform will be focused on the stores.
Herramienta y esta recomendación específica a todos los productores que estén.
But we also want all farmers to take advantage of it. Adding to what Diego said, Donmario is an Argentinian brand, and this helps us understand farmers' needs. So we offer a customized solution, but we also do this every day. Being close to farmers is key for us to understand exactly what they need. So there is major development in our markets, in our multiplying network, because we want to be seen as a brand that's close to farmers, and this helps us every day with Sembra Evolución, because Sembra Evolución members are here and are on the other side, because farmers are also part of Sembra Evolución. So as you were saying, the customized solution goes hand in hand with that closeness, so that we can all build a system where we can all feel confident that Argentina will be a growing and competitive country in terms of soybean, wheat, and any other crop. So the challenge is to do this in 1 minute. What are the key factors in this season? Well, clearly, the season was good if we compare this to 22-23 season, which was very bad, and we hope to forget about that very soon. And this year, the challenge, I think, will go together with the increased surface area. If we think of corn germplasm, and we will see, and we already see this in surveys, we will see a reduced wheat surface area, especially in the central and northern area, and most of that surface area will go to soybean. There may be other crops such as sorghum or cotton, but most of it will go to soybean. And if we consider the weather, we thought we'd have La Nina, and now we're seeing a more neutral perspective, but we may see climate deficit, rainfall deficit. This means stress, higher temperatures, what we all know about that, and adding new genetics, new breeding, new varieties, new technologies will provide lots of benefits. Clearly, the dry seasons or seasons with restrictions and the plots that have a history of wheat are the most difficult ones because of escapes, because we're going to apply herbicides on stressed weeds, and we have to go back. Well, being able to use technologies for these herbicide situations will be very good thing, and this is an opportunity that farmers have to add new technologies and new products. From our perspective, we can bear witness to the benefits of the latest developments in terms of biotechnology. I have 16 questions, but I invite you all to visit the Donmario stand, where you will find Patricio and Diego. A full room for our first presentation. Thank you all.